With 2 weeks left before voters head to the polls, the Centre for Social Development in Africa has released its research findings on factors that inform voter choices. Among others, their research has found that voter choice is not based on only one factor, but a combination of many complex and intersecting factors. The study is authored by Leila Patel, Yolanda, Sadie and Jaclyn Klerk from the University of Johannesburg. Joining us now to unpack the report is SA Research Chair in Welfare and Social Development at the University of Johannesburg, as well as author, Professor Leila Patel. Professor, good evening and thank you very much for your time. So we're exactly 2 weeks away from the polls. Some would say your report has come at the right time. But before we unpack the findings, I'd like for you to briefly take us through the standard information on the research conducted, from sample size, the provinces, the diversity of the participants, just so those who look at the data have the context of how big and diverse the group was that you interviewed.
Yes, thank you. And it's good and thank you for inviting me to be with you this evening. Our research study is a national study. It's representative of the population. It is, our sample was 3,511 for this analysis. We collected data, the data was collected by Ipsos on our behalf, and we analyzed the data. We also provided them with the questions, and the interviews were conducted in people's homes. They could opt to do the interview in their own home language. And it was representative of provinces and also smaller areas. So that's just about the sample itself. The main purpose or focus of it was the question that we wanted to know was, why do you choose your
party? Now, to those findings, take us through the party choices and what informs those choices. Yeah,
so it is quite a mouthful, but I'm going to try and just focus on some of it, and I'm happy to answer, to also discuss others if there is time. But firstly, I think the big question was always for us, was given the expansion of the grant system right now, since 2020, you know, we have between 26 and 28 million people now receiving social grants. Will this impact on the electoral choice? And we find that grant receipt is not a factor in people's electoral choice. And this has been the case in all our 5 surveys. We've done 4 surveys before this, from 2017 to 2020.
And Professor, that's quite helpful because it has been a topical one, this specific one around grant choices, because many have assumed, or there have been reports that some, particularly the elderly, were possibly not willing to vote for any other political party based on the fact that they were uncertain as to whether their social grants would continue.
So that is a big question of the fear of losing your grant if you voted for an opposition party. And we explored this question over 5 surveys since 2017. And in 4 of our previous surveys, this was highly significant, and it influenced the choice. In the end, a person would choose the ANC over an opposition party. But this time we find that fear of loss of a grant is no longer a predictor of party choice. This is a big change, and it's the first time we've seen this in our findings.
So this is not among that which informs their voter choice. So what does? Because I was looking at your graph and it seems that the creating of jobs is among the ones at the top.
Yes. So we asked the question, you've told us who you've selected as the party. We're really not interested in the party itself, but we want to know why you chose this party. And we had 14 options. And 5 of the top reasons provided was jobs. I believe that because the party will create jobs, 55%. The party will bring a better life. The desire for a better life was very strong. That was about also 49%. The party will improve service delivery was 48%. The party pays grants is 44%. So socioeconomic factors. This factor is crucial in people's choice. And then, of course, there was trust in the party, 40%, and loyalty to the party that brought freedom and democracy to the country was also about 40%. Right. Interestingly, only 18% said that they would vote for a party if they promised them a house or a grant or, something in return for the vote. So that means that voters are quite educated, knowledgeable about their rights.
And we understand that 39% of the voters aren't in favor of the National Coalition's government. Why is this?
That's a difficult question to answer. But we do see that there isn't, South Africans are really not in favor of coalitions. And we see also that, among ANC supporters, that was mostly the case, followed by the EFF and the DA. I think that the reason is probably people feel that coalitions, the experiences of coalitions in provincial governments and municipalities has not been favourable, that it's been created a lot of instability and poor service delivery. But there are some municipalities that where the coalitions have actually been fairly successful. And so for those who felt that they would support coalitions, maybe that would be one of the reasons.
Then in the research, did the participants go on to indicate then which particular political party they would vote for? And if they did so, what was the outcome? How did most of them fare, percentage-wise?
Yeah. Look, because ours is not a poll, we use the Ipsos data at the end of 2023. And then at that point, the ANC was sitting at 33%, the DA at 15%, and the EFF at about 18%, and other parties made up the rest. But that has now changed in their recent poll. But I think what was important is the reasons they gave. And these 5 top reasons were all related to perception of governance, trust in the institutions, corruption, party loyalty, trust in party leader, and trust in the presidency of Cyril Ramaphosa. And if a person thought that that governance was, or the country that they supported, or felt that governance was executed adequately, then they were more likely to vote for the ANC by 58%. But those who thought that, who were concerned about corruption and felt that there was very limited attempts to root out corruption, was 61% more likely to vote for an opposition party. So we were able to gauge the odds, the likelihood of a person's choice for ANC versus an opposition party.
But it seems at the heart of it are socio-economic issues. Those are the ones that inform the decisions that they make. Professor, thank you very much for that insight. That's SA Research Chair in Welfare and Social Development at the University of Johannesburg, Professor Leila Patel, speaking to us.